It is the Martha Zoller Show, and tomorrow we're going to do a little primer on QBE and CON, as well as talk about a number of other things, because we talked about that a lot in our state legislature segment, and it occurred to me, with my good friend Sanders Hickey reminding me, is that people don't talk in the alphabet soup. So we're going to work on that. But first, I want to talk to Steve Moore. We did pass our school choice bill, Steve, and it's been a big week in the Georgia legislature.
Hi, Martha. Good to be with you. And I want to hear from you because, I'm obviously hugely in favor of school choice. I think it's the most important thing our country can do to give every child of every income group and every color of their skin the best education possible, and they're not getting it in the public schools in Georgia and Mississippi and California and Chicago and so many cities. But my question is, because I have a lot of good people I've been working with for the last 2 or 3 years in Georgia to get this done, and some of them are saying, Martha, that this bill is not good enough, that does not provide enough school choice for enough parents. So I want to get it from you, because you're living there right in the state, what you think about this bill. Should we be strongly supporting it? Is it a step in the right direction? It certainly is a step in the right direction.
It is a step in the right direction,
okay.
And it did what it needed to do to get the additional votes that we needed to have. And what it does is it focuses more on the bottom 25%, the low performing schools.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take the money from the QBE, which is the individual funding of students by the state.
Right.
It provides a separate appropriation. And the money actually will go into an account that the parents can draw down from, so that we can make sure that the money gets used the right way. And I think it's a step in the right direction. Is it full school choice? No, it's not. But we got it. But it also has a 10-year sunset to where we can take this back up and really walk before we run. I think is the right. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. So I'm not quite as enthusiastic as you are, but
that's okay.
But I agree. I agree with you though that it is a right step. I mean, you and I agreed on that for sure. Getting our foot in the door and establishing this idea that the dollars should start to follow the kids, not the education establishment, is an important precedent. I just wish we'd, why not half the, anybody beneath the median income should be eligible for this program, in my opinion. And it's going to provide, students of all colors and all incomes a better choice.
Well,
Martha, I have 5.
But in the bottom 25%, it's up to 400% of the poverty level. And also, we already have charter systems within the public schools. So there are lots of school systems that already offer choice within the public schools. It's not outside of the public schools. So that's why I think it's a step in the right direction. Yeah.
All right. Well, you make a strong case. I'll just tell you,
you hate disagreeing. You hate disagreeing with me anyway, Steve.
I wanted your honest opinion on that because I don't live in Georgia, but I've been around the country. I was in Alabama 2 weeks ago. We're in Montgomery. We got school choice, a bigger bill than you got in Georgia. Texas, it looks like we're going to get, 3 million kids will now have eligibility for, better education opportunities. Florida's obviously one of the leaders. So, I think this is the most important movement in America today, folks. I mean,
I agree.
We cannot continue another generation of kids to not get, when we've got kids who are graduating from high school and can't even, basically read the degree. Well, that's a problem.
Here's an interesting thing, and this is something I'm working on because, I'm on the State Board of Education, and they put me on there even though they knew I was pro-school choice. But one of the things we're dealing with is obviously Georgia is growing very fast, and it needs an educated workforce. And one of the bigger problems we have is on the one side the literacy issue on kids that are in K through 12, and we're working on that. We passed a literacy bill last year. We're passing school choice this year. But a bigger problem is the adult workforce that's undereducated. And what I'm working on right now is and you're the first person I've told about this on the air, okay, is a program that is going to say that if you graduated from a Georgia high school and you still can't read, that you can come back and get the skills you need through our schools so that you can be ready for the workforce. And I'm going to be working on what that's going to look like.
Good. Well, that's a great program. And it's a shame that, after 12 years of schooling, that some kids still can't read and so this is critical if we want to retain our economic superpower status. The other thing I wanted to mention to you, and I know our time is tight, is, did you see that the left is completely and intentionally distorting what Trump said this weekend?
Oh, yeah, we've covered that extensively. Yes.
I mean, I just want to make sure your listeners know, because Georgia's such a key state. They're completely taking out of context what Trump said. He was talking about the U.S. auto industry.
Yes.
He said there will be blood in the streets. What he meant is if Biden continues with forcing our companies to, and our consumers to buy electric vehicles, they're not made in the United States. They're made in China. How is that going to save auto jobs in America? Everybody's going to lose their jobs in Michigan, Ohio, and Georgia, and Tennessee, and states that build cars. So that's the point he was making.
Absolutely. Listen, I got two quick questions from you that came in from listeners. Okay, Paula in Habersham County wanted to know, do you know the relationship of a value of dollar at the time the past stock market downturns equate to the current value of a dollar?
Yeah, so I just ran these numbers, if I understand that question. So if you adjust the stock market for inflation, because, when you make an investment, you're interested in your after inflation rate of return, not your before inflation return. So under Biden in his first 3 years in office, the stock market was up about 8 or 9% in real terms, adjusted for inflation. Okay, that's a mediocre, that's mediocre. Over 3 years to have an 8% gain, that's like 2% annually real. You know what the number was under Trump?
What?
35%.
Wow.
So that when Biden calls it, this booming stock market, when you adjust for inflation, Trump's numbers were 3 to 4 times higher. People did much better in terms of their wealth. In fact, if you look at, I know you get our Committee to Unleash Prosperity hotline, and I hope everybody does. Just go to committee-to-unleashprosperity.com and get that for free. We had a chart showing that the net worth of the average family, when you take their 401k plans, their stock holdings, the value of their home, all of those things, they're adjusted for inflation. They're up a whopping 1% under Biden after 3 years. After 3 years on Trump, they were up about 25%. So that's why if people vote their pocketbook, and there's a lot of reasons to vote for one candidate or another, but if you're voting your pocketbook, it's clear that Trump's policies were far superior. And there's this mirage of inflation that, your income is up. Guess what? Your income isn't up as much as your inflation rate is.
Oh, no, you're not making 20% more than you were making 3 years ago.
That's right.
That's for sure. You might be making a few percent more, but you're not making 20%. So I'm going to leave you with this thought that we would never let a kid say they weren't a reading kid, but we will let them say they're not a math kid. And we need to work on that too.
Yep, I like that, because if you can't do math, you're not very employable in America today.
Absolutely. Steve Moore, I always love you being with us on Mondays. We appreciate it very much. And
thanks for educating me today, because I wanted to know your opinion on that bill, and I feel better. So good.
Well, look, it's not perfect, but it is a step in the right direction. And we got 91 votes, which was exactly one more than we needed. Steve Moore, thanks for being with us today. And tomorrow, we're going to have Zach Loggins with us. He is going to co-host with me tomorrow. And he's one of my colleagues at the Rotary Club. We're always here, always local.